So we have arrived at the end of our presentations. So I guess at that point, I will ask the audience if they have any questions to any of the participants, well, the panelists here. Yes.
Lars Gustafsson, nice presentations. I would like to ask Mr. Mirumbe if you could tell a little bit more about the impact about this experiment on distance learning in your district. I mean, how people think about it, to what extent it has been adapted. And second is to hear to Dr. Dalmar. Have you any plans to document the development of Somaliland as a case history? I ask because I think it's very important in such a special country like Somalia, because you can then see the value of ICT. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mirumbe, we'll start by you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your good question. Yeah, we have the experience on distance learning, as you have said. What driven us to use the ICT? First of all, our district was among of the poorest districts in Tanzania. So due to that concept, we sit down and we think what kind of the tool will lead us to understand the problem that we have and the solution that we can get in our districts. So from there, we decided to use the ICT. We decided to use the ICT because when you use the ICT, for instance, one of the presenters here was explaining about the extension officer. You can have an extension officer, but they will not work well. But if you have the ICT tool, you'll understand what they are doing within the village, because they are within the village, but sometimes they don't give you the information. So we wanted to plan about the projection of the harvest in a certain year. So how do you get the projection? You don't have the correct data. So we decided to use the ICT in Agriculture Information Resource Center. And we appreciate now the government understood our concept and now supporting us. And the donors also supporting us for that activity, because if you manage to solve the problem of the poverty, especially at the household level, even though, especially in the case of the food security, at the household level, you'll be solving many problems. So from there, we use this distance learning of ICT as a model that can read us, and it manages us to solve the problem in revenue. We performed well in cash crop, especially in cotton. We performed well in cotton and the revenue collection of the local government authority. So for us in Tanzania, we are the only district in Tanzania. We are collecting our revenue by using ICT, and we are only district that we are collecting the information from the rural area by using ICT. So we really appreciate the use of the ICT. So for us in Bunda, when you speak ICT, you can see that we know. That's why we say that when the president will visit our district, the first surprise is to make sure that he will make a teleconference between the extension officers and the farmer at the headquarters, and to understand the importance. This is engagement of the politician and the government leader in this technology of ICT. When the leaders will understand what is going on, it will be easy to transform the technology, and that's the idea of the Technology Transfer Alliance. So Technology Transfer Alliance is transformation of the technology from one point to another. For instance, now we are taking the technology from Europe. We transform to Africa to make sure that Africa also is developed and being in a global continent, we have been facing the problem of climate change. So how we can understand the climate change? We need to have the technology. We think this is the only solution of the sustainable development. We have got the problem in health. Also, we are sending the drugs within the dispensaries, health facilities. So you can see a doctor tell you that, oh, we have procuring the drugs for three months. After 2 weeks, the doctor tell you that there is no drugs. So how do you control? You need to have the ICT technology that will monitor numbers of patients, numbers of the amount of drugs using, then the remaining. So it was the concept driven us, we as a leader, how to lead our districts in a modern way. Thank you very much.
I have the intention of actually documenting the history and the development of Somaliland. Somaliland has got a website, and since its inception, all its activities have been documented. And the beauty is that Somaliland, although, as you can see from the name, is Research and Education Network, but in a context like Somali, it has more utility and more objectives because of the history of the civil conflict and suspicion among even regions. And long while ago, Somaliland was the only cross-border or national institution linking Somalia, because Somalia, although it is one country, but it was divided into regions. But luckily, Somaliland member universities happen to be in different regions of Somalia. So in our meetings, when we held in the north or in the center, it had also a significance, not only on research education, but as a peace and initiative and a change to society. So we are linked to the government as well, because the current Somali president now is a founder of Somaliland, as he was a president of one local university. So we have links across the society and also within the government. So thank you for your point. All the documents are there, but I will share this, and maybe we will document the history and development of Somaliland as a case study for a country which is emerging from civil conflict. Thank you.
Joshua, Joseph Nordegren from Norway. I have a question for you regarding the use of broadband versus information spreading. Could you comment on that? How much from your point of view, the broadband means as if you would have just set up information links?
Pardon me, repeat your question.
What I have in mind is you were talking a lot about broadband connection in your district, okay. And I see that there might be a difference between information links or connectivity and broadband connectivity. I don't know whether you have done some analysis in detail about the differences there.
Yes, this is the good question. Before I presented there, I told you that I'm a politician. I'm not a scientist. So me, I prefer to see the results. So I think that question, Dr. Nungu, you can stand up and answer that question. I'm not a technical. So when you ask me a technical question, to me, it's not fair.
Hello. The Serengeti Broadband Network, it is an open network infrastructure for research and development. So it is a broadband network supporting all kinds of services. For he's talking about one of the services. And for us, I mean, it is broadband because it is a very big local area network. And what I said in the beginning, in my final comment, it was, before it was build and they will come. So the idea was, as I was saying, that everything on broadband. And we thought, let us use the Serengeti area as an example. Putting, a living lab on the ICT infrastructure, and then sociology, geography, whoever should come and use it. But it took some time to materialize. So yes, it is a broadband infrastructure, locally. But going to the internet, it is not broadband, but within it is broadband level. Did I? Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Larsen, I missed in your presentation the client satisfaction, because I have the impression that your M&E module is really about satisfying the donor into the cost of ICT, etc. So how would you bring this in? Because at the end, what donors like to see is if the farmer based in Bunda is indeed using ICT, getting some information, whether he makes more money. And for the commissioner, I think I like your position, because as a politician, you have to make sure that your constituents, through, for example, your agricultural research centers, they get what they want. And they may want information in Kiswahili, professional, timely, etc. Now, luckily, there is now quite very interesting content online. I mentioned, for example, one, which is called Access Agriculture, has about 200 professional videos online. It's also being distributed thousands of copies in Uganda, in West Africa, etc. And the big advantage is it is in local language. It's a 20 minutes professional video, for example, also on cotton. I would encourage you this night to download those videos, because it might be an incredible added value to your agricultural research center. They are also being distributed by or through internet, and it's initially was funded by Africa Rise. ICRISAT is on to this, and the Swiss government is funding now research on how do farmers understand videos in Kiswahili in Tanzania. A second good resource for you is Infonet Biovision. It's based in Isipe campus, Nairobi. And Infonet Biovision, you have 4 pages: plant, human, animal, and environment. If you click on plant, you will get all the plants of East Africa. For example, you click on tomato, you will have pictures on the different tomatoes in East Africa. And when you click on your tomato, which you recognize, you will find diseases, harvesting time, etc. That may be another interesting thing to explore. And the third one for you is Frontline SMS, developed in Kenya. Basically, community radios using ICT means send to their farmers an SMS message half an hour before they broadcast a specific program. These are very useful tools. And then for Dagmar, I'm always impressed by Somali academicians, because you are working in a very difficult environment. You have a strong diaspora community. How do you link with them? ICT experts to help you in your endeavor? Because I have seen in Ethiopia incredibly interesting experiences where Ethiopian biotechnologists working in South Africa, Germany, Switzerland, Canada, Australia, and Japan are teaming together via internet and giving advice to their government on biotechnology.
So there was a question for Aaron in the beginning, or am I mistaken? No, right? Then a response also, and then a response there. Okay. Well, we've got 5 minutes, so please be short.
If I remember, the question was how do how do the users get involved in the assessments, right? Well, ultimately, the assessments should be done based upon some survey or investigation with respect to the project being evaluated. So, and this in turn could entail actually visiting or studying the beneficiaries or the people working in the project, or that was working in the project. So, so that would be my response to that, if it's okay.
Yes, thank you for mentioning the Somali diaspora. I'm also a member of them. I used to be based in London, and then I went back to Somalia. And there are around 3 million Somalis living in the West, in Europe and also in North America. So definitely they are very important sections of the society in different ways, in economic way, by their remittance, which was valued last year to about 3 billion euros, which is almost 10 times whatever donations that are given to Somalia. In terms of academic, yes. In my university, we have over 100 diaspora professors that are coming every year during their holidays to teach at my university. And we use modular teaching. We don't actually follow daily hours, but we follow credit hours. So if, for example, we have a biochemistry professor coming from Canada, we give them 3 weeks to actually finish the whole curriculum. And we are flexible, and the students are also flexible, so they can be recalled during summer holidays or Fridays or weekends to actually cover the credit hours. So, and there is now recognition also of the international community about the importance of the diaspora to help actually countries like Somalia. And we have now initiatives that are encouraging local institutions link up with diaspora academicians through International Organization for Migration, and there is funding available there. So yes, we are using the diaspora in bringing up and reconstituting Somalia in different ways. Thank you. Yes, and distance education very occasionally, because since before this year we had very difficulty in accessing the internet, and maybe different universities got funding. For example, my university, we had a funding from USAID, which established video conferencing, and they were paying a satellite link to it. But that when the funding finished, we were not able to actually continue with it because the cost of it was very expensive. But during that time, we were using distance education, either through web tutorial or maybe video conferencing. But now with this now sea cable landing, I think this will be an important part of our use of the diaspora as well.
I could complement your question. I would say that there should be a policy document or a work process defined for those who do the assessments, so that there is a standardized way of working when doing them. This does not exist today, as far as I know, at least not with respect to how we have operationalized this in the iMentus platform. But that would certainly facilitate the process of doing the impact assessments and make them credible.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your comments, and I really appreciate it. I take that point and we'll work on it. But there is no problem in those languages we have been explained there, because we in Tanzania, we are frequently speaking English and Swahili, so it is easier to get the communication. There is no problem for that case. But for the case of SMSC, it's a good idea, but we have already started. It's because of the time. It's because of the time. If I could be given enough time, I could be shown the things which you couldn't understand that is happening within the rural. You know, I'm coming from the local government authority. You should differentiate the central government and the local government authority. The local, it means that the local, it is in rural. So you can't understand things is happening in rural. So I would like to welcome the representative from European Union, AU, to come Bunda and to see these things is happening and how you can link the world easily and people they can get the development. So and also I would like to welcome the research institution and the universities, academia to come there for the practical. So we are in the area where you can practice what is being planned in the technical and to see the impact. So that was my ambition, and I appreciate it. From the technology transference meeting, from the EI Africa meeting, I have been receiving a lot of the experts from Europe, Africa, and within the area. They are coming to my district and they see the impact. It's real. I really appreciate the read on behalf of my government. On behalf of my government, I appreciate it, and now the government is now spearheading these issues of ICT. It's one of the priority. So, but the problem, it is for the politician. Most of the politicians, they don't understand about this. I understand this because I've been passing in a certain university and adopted a certain kind of information management system. And I'm a planning officer. So a planning officer is my professional. I cannot plan with not having data. The data can lead you to plan the actual plan. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We've had truly enlightening presentations at this panel. So please give a warm round of applause to the panelists.